first group of 17-year-olds in history with money in their pockets.
This would take years, decades to test and develop a race team capable of taking out Ferrari.
Ferrari's bankrupt.
Wow, it's a rev up those engines. It was a scene from the new film Ford vs. Ferrari starring Matt Damon and Christian Bale. We have film critic and In Kansas City magazine contributor Lonita Cook in the house to share her thoughts on that, as well as a few other films this weekend. So Ford versus Ferrari. I think I'm probably a Ford guy, probably because I can't afford a Ferrari. But does this movie rev up your engines?
Rev up my engines. Okay, so I thought you didn't know a secret about me is I love to drive fast.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You like the scene in Liar Liar, you pop out and it's all speeding tickets instead of parking tickets?
That's right. That is one of the best references ever.
Perfect.
And so, yes, for me, this movie really revved my engines.
Okay.
I am a lay person, and I will say this, it is an Oscar Beatty movie.
Oh, really?
About not just Ford versus Ferrari, but Henry Ford II, his kind of humiliating and failed attempt to purchase Ferrari.
Oh, okay.
And so when that goes awry, Ford says, you know what, if I can't join him, let's beat him.
Let's beat him.
And so, yes, and so they say, we're gonna go to Le Mans, we're gonna build the world's fastest car, and we're gonna beat him in front of the whole world.
Really?
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
So I still have a hard time looking at Christian Bale and not seeing Batman, you know, or Bruce Wayne or whatever, but what's his performance like? And I just watched one of the Ocean's movies yesterday for Matt Damon, so that's in my head right now, you know, so how are the performances in the movie? You said Oscar Beatty, so.
Yes, this is a stacked cast. It's not just Matt Damon and Christian Bale, they're fantastic. But Tracy Letts, who plays Henry Ford II, brilliant in the role. John Bernthal, I love him as Lee Iacocca, and just the whole cast, it brings it together. The only character, not the actor, but the character that I was like, was the wife to Ken Miles, who Christian Bale plays. Her character was just incredibly wasted, and it was a little bit annoying.
But aside from that, we may get some Best Actor or Supporting Actor nods out of this, maybe?
I'm hoping so.
Okay.
If I can tell you this, after the screening, I got to hang out with some guys who really raced, who were there, who went to Le Mans, who knew all these guys, who knew Shelby, and they said that they took exception with the dramatic license that the movie takes to qualify it emotionally for awards.
To make it a movie then, yeah, okay, gotcha. All right, well, moving on, we got to get to the new Robert De Niro film. This is The Irishman. This looks pretty intense in a couple places.
Yes, it is pretty intense all over the place.
Okay.
So we've got Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci.
And so Goodfellas, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I mix up my gangster movies. Sorry.
Because it's, I mean, hey, I don't want to sound weird, but Joe Pesci is like great at this serious, like scary mobster, or like kind of the goofy guy, like in the Lethal Weapon. Yeah, right. And so here, I think Joe Pesci steals the show.
Really?
Oh my goodness.
Away from Robert De Niro? I
think they were probably on set like, hey, can you get Pesci out of here? He's like, you know, he's that good.
Good.
But what I will say about this movie, you're gonna get two separate stories in one. It's 3.5 hours long.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, and it's wonderful, 3.5 hours. But you have Robert De Niro playing the Irishman, who is taken under the wings of Joe Pesci's character. He plays Russell Bufalino. And he kind of rises in the ranks of the Italian mob, like all the way to being Jimmy Hoffa's personal bodyguard. Right? So you get that story. And then you also get this very human story about what it means to be young and making these kind of dangerous choices, and then you grow older, and then you are alone in those choices. You are the only one left. And so this entire story is contextualized by a life. And I think that is the most powerful part. I think it's the reason why the 3.5 hours is like
needed. Then, to tell that story the way that it needs to be told. Moving on, Scarlett Johansson's new one. My girl Scarlett. I love you, girl. No, I'm just kidding. Marriage Story is her new one. Missy, I love you too. I'm just going to stop talking. Go ahead, Marriage Story.
Yeah, and it also stars Adam Driver.
Yes.
And this is Marriage Story.
Kylo Ren.
I'm going to be real quick on this one.
Yeah.
Everybody is saying Kramer versus Kramer.
Okay.
It is one of those movies where it's this kind of raw and real look at love and marriage.
Yeah.
And I think the most powerful takeaway for me was that you never know how ugly you can be until you go through a divorce. You go into it with the best of intentions,
yes,
and then you realize battle lines are being drawn.
And the consequences of those actions that you have to take during it. Sure, I see that.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Adam Driver sticks with us for the next movie, The Report.
The Report.
I remember, I think the cover from this is some of the documents that are released, but they're all redacted, right?
Redacted, yes.
So give us the frame up this one real quick.
Okay, so this one stars Adam Driver as well, and Annette Bening. And he plays the kind of junior investigator during the Senate investigation of the CIA interrogation tactics post 9/11.
Okay.
And what I will say about this movie is it's incredible. The material, the subject matter is incredibly significant for America history, but it should be, I think, important to Americans.
Yeah.
It's one of those movies where I don't know that they went into it to tell kind of a really salacious story. I think it was more like, hey, you guys might want to take a look over here.
Yeah, you might want to see this.
Yeah, you might want to see this. I personally was incredibly intrigued the whole time. I was heartsick. I kept thinking, what are we?
Yeah.
That even in these times, this is the choice that we make. And I think a lot of people will take that away. But then, unfortunately, after a while, I was thinking, what am I going to have for dinner when I get home?
Oh, yeah.
So
you kind of lost you halfway through or something?
I think if they would have tightened it up and really focused it, but I think they really wanted to make a statement about the report itself and how much of it has not been released to the public.
Well, I remember when that happened, in real life, watching the hearings and thinking to myself, some of those, I can't believe what we would do to actual human beings. But on the flip side of it, we don't want a tragedy like that happening again.
Exactly.
So what extremes are we willing to go to?
Exactly.
So seeing both sides of that coin, I think is interesting.
I think the movie does do a good job representing that perspective. But I do think it does take a biased look. And I'm going to spoil it a little bit because in the credits, if you watch all the way the below the line, at the end, it's like, release the rest of the 6,000 pages.
Really?
Like it really is kind of taking this look at how we have protected the people who were involved in the entire decision-making process to employ those tactics.
All right, well, there's 4 good choices for you this weekend. Lonita, I think those all sound like just about winners to me.
Hey, it's a good time to be at the movies. Oh,
she's buying the popcorn.
And let me say about The Irishman, if I can, it is a Netflix movie, but if you want to see it on the big screen, it is going to be at the Screenland Armor today.
Oh, great. So you can see that today, and then thank God for a 3.5-hour movie that's on Netflix so you can hit pause and
That's right.
use the bathroom. Lonita, thank you very much.